Ausgrenzen ist leider immer einfacher, als sich mit Menschen auseinanderzusetzen. Wie schnell Andersartigkeit Gewalt hervorruft, beweist ein Video, das online millionenfach geklickt wurde. Eine Touristenpromenade in South Carolina. Als Klischee-Blondine mit einer Spiegelmaske vor dem Gesicht schlendert Signe Pierce stumm durch die belebten Straßen. Was dann passiert, ist auch für die Performance-Künstlerin unerwartet. Innerhalb von nur einer Stunde wird sie beschimpft, beworfen und angegriffen.
Okay, I'm recording. Hi, I'm Signe Pierce, and we are in my studio in New York City. Filming this piece, we had no idea what was going to happen, but we absolutely never expected it to get so violent or you know, rage-filled. To me, it's such a signifier of how society raises people to think that it's, you know, that it's okay to declassify our citizens based on their sex, their gender, their race, their sexual orientation. She can't get up. So for me, it was incredibly important that I leave the mask on. I'm not giving you what you want. And that's what we have to do with like bullies and with people who try and force us into identities that are not ours, or like try and force us into getting their way with us because they feel entitled to it.
Signe Pierce verändert die Realität und macht sie zu Kunst. Dafür kombiniert die 29-Jährige Eindrücke ihrer Umgebung mit der Ästhetik von Instagram. Heraus kommen Fotos, Installationen und Performances, mit denen Pierce schon in Kunstgalerien in London, New York, Miami, Paris und jüngst in Leipzig zu sehen war.
Hi, this is Big Sister speaking. Nice to finally introduce myself. I've been watching you for a while. Let's get to know each other, shall we?
I don't necessarily need every single thing I do to be contextualized within the world or the framework of art. I think I know what I do. I know what I do when I come to my studio. I know who I am and I know what my message is. I want to just create a framework of perception. I'm just trying to hold up a bit of a mirror to help us understand how we see the world and how we treat each other. I'm really inspired by the everyday, and I'm inspired by the nature of chaos, which to me is the nature of reality. Sometimes some of the most artistic things I've ever seen are just little snippets of things I've seen on the street. And because so much of what I'm talking about has to do with living in 2018 in the era of technological singularity, and how rapidly things are changing, and how I'm trying to take account of what even is real in this new era. My lighting and this hyper saturated neon glow that fills a lot of my work is part of a comment on, or I guess my way of seeing modernity. And for me, modernity, it falls under the category of hyperreality. Hyperreality has sort of created a second life, online. But there's still a very real reality that happens all around us, like in our tangible flesh, and the second life affects the first life. And when you sort of combine those two, that's where you get hyperreality. Up until the internet, really, I didn't feel like we would see a lot of women using their voices from their own voice, from their own perspective, aka women who were not being handed a script.
Und deshalb erobert sich Signe Pierce diesen Raum zurück. Mit überzogenen Blondinen-Klischees und Barbie-Stimme aus dem Vocoder.
I'm naturally brunette, and I didn't weigh what I weigh now a couple years ago. I carved myself to play an archetype that gets no respect in the real world. I guess the blonde kind of does, but it's more the idea of like the hyper feminine woman. What would happen if we would have given this characterization of a femme or of women that, you know, this sort of like archetypal blonde woman, like what happens when you give her a voice, you know? It's like, I'm interested in using media to sort of like help me.
I'm interested in using media to sort of like help me like try and
make sense of the world, you know what I mean? And like maybe contextualize a little bit of like
how insane this stuff is. It's like totally crazy.
Ohne Frage. Die Kunst von Signe Pierce ist schiere Reizüberflutung. Und damit die perfekte Kritik an der Reizüberflutung, der wir täglich ausgesetzt sind.